We gather round the mic to chat about tech and games and this and that. But Reaton's net, it done gone flat. For 4 long weeks we missed our chat. With routers broken, wires tangled tight. Our podcast's been a ghost each night. But now we're back and feeling right. To tech and game will bring delight. Reaton's net was down, oh no. But now he's back, the show will go. We'll talk of dragons, pixels glow. In tech and gaming fields will sow.
Hello and welcome to the Reeton Entertainment Podcast, episode 462 for October 13th, 2024. My name is Nathan Reeton Spruth, and joining me this week we have Andrew Roa McFain.
Why did they program AI to be the cringiest fucking thing possible?
I don't know. It's gotta do. I have to say they probably have like, all right, this rhymes with this, so we'll just put that in there. And they just it's very generic rhymes. You're not gonna get any like complicated tunes or anything out of that. And I put it as I've been watching a lot on my phone, and I'll talk about that in a bit. I've been watching a lot of like Hobbit and Lord of the Rings explanation going on. So it's like, we can do like I'll just put in that it's like a Hobbit song, and that's what they came up with.
Oh,
Yeah, it
apparently
wasn't.
it thinks that hobbits are just white guys with acoustic guitars. Okay.
Apparently, yep, that's what they are. White guys with I was hoping for like like a bar song or a pub song.
The first few seconds, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like a weird, slow Irish jig. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of aiming for, and then they're like, nope, just a white dude, no accent. Yeah. But yes, so Aroa, where can we find you? Where can we find everyone?
Aroa.website, I guess. I think, right? Yeah.
Castapod's still up, so we're good.
Yeah.
I haven't got the notifications.
It went down for I think like 15 minutes one day because suddenly the power in that area of the basement went out for some reason.
Did you have to flip a switch or like flip your breaker?
It was weird. 3 breakers tripped. 2 of them were in the basement. One of them, I don't know where it was. And then also the GFI outlet that's protecting that half of the basement tripped. And it was in like a moment after that, after the power went out, we heard emergency sirens going off.
Oh.
So I don't know if it was like a massive power surge because somebody's house exploded or what, but yeah, that was weird.
Interesting. Yeah, we have power outages every once in a while, and all my stuff is on UPS, right? So I have my modem and router, and then my 2 computers are on different UPSs, so those don't go out. But for some reason, if we have a power outage, I have to flip the circuit for my car charger, because I have a level 2 car charger, and it just won't come back on sometimes. So I've got to flip the breaker.
It might be some built-in thing to protect itself.
Yeah, maybe if it turns off and then turns on too quickly, like it's just like, no, not gonna turn on right now.
That it could be that to protect the car too, even.
That's true. Yeah. But yeah, so you can find me, Nathan Reeton Spruth, everywhere at Reeton, mainly on Twitch. I haven't been streaming, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, I'll be back to streaming hopefully tomorrow night, as long as everything continues to work okay. And yeah, Aroa, what games have you been playing the last week or month?
Well, I played a lot of did you know about UFO 50?
No, I do not.
No, UFO 50, it's like Action 52.
Oh,
but
good.
But it's good, like really good.
Oh, okay.
It's from the Spelunky devs. and it's just a collection of 50 games that were made by a fake developer in the 80s that are they're you can play them in chronological order, and it's really cool the way that they tried to sort of emulate the way that technology progressed from like 1983 to 1989 in terms of like this game looks like it's barely at the level of like a ZX Spectrum or something, and then like as time goes on it's like, this is supposed to be like an Amiga game, and like, this is like a Sega Genesis grade game. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say Genesis released in '89, right?
uh no, I think the Genesis didn't come out until like 92.
No, what? Let me check that.
Master System was 80s.
Genesis Sega release date 1989, August 14th.
Is that in America or Japan?
In America, or that's just August 14th. Let me check. 1990.
Could have sworn
1990 in America.
Oh wow. I didn't. I thought that. I thought
no,
Sonic
nope.
was.
I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I was wrong. I read the wrong one. Japan was October 29th, 1988, and North America was August 14th, 1989.
Wow. I thought that Sonic was a launch title for the Genesis.
No, it wasn't.
I was wrong.
It started with Alex Kidd. That's what it was. A pack-in game was Alex Kidd.
But Alex Kidd was a Master System game.
Yeah. It was, but it was. I believe they wanted.
Oh yeah,
because
the Genesis can run Master System games.
Well, yes, but I believe they made. I could be wrong, but I believe that they made an Alex Kidd for the original Genesis.
There's something like maybe they made it like really easy to port Master System games to the Genesis system, because it literally has the Master System sound chip in it or something like that.
I should know this. I should have already known this. But the sound chip in the Genesis is the processor that was in the Master System.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Well, there's a secondary chip. Yeah, you're right. Altered Beast. Yep.
So
that was what my dad got with it.
I thought Altered Beast was awesome when I was a kid, just because I thought that the transforming into the beast was awesome.
I thought it was cool for an hour.
Yeah, though that's the thing, is I got the Genesis after Sonic came out, so I got Sonic as a pack-in game, and
I think that's why I thought it was a launch title, because that was the first game that I played.
And then I went to a friend's house who had Altered Beast, and I was like, "This is awesome!" And then I never actually played it very much, so I just had stuck in my mind like, "Oh, that's really cool," and then I left. And I didn't get the time to see how it wasn't that great of a game. Anyway,
well, at the time it was really cool because it was an arcade game that you could play at home.
That's true, but it is. But speaking, we kind of went off track, shockingly enough. But with UFO 50, it is cool that you literally get from like 8-bit, like crappy Atari graphics, all the way up to like Sega Genesis, 16-bit graphics.
And it's cool because it like also takes into consideration like what game design paradigms existed around those times. Because like the first game is just kind of a like you move from screen to screen, and it's an adventure game, and it's like balls difficult. There are no checkpoints. There's no saving, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And you either get through the entire game with 5 lives, or you have to start over again. And like as time goes on, they implement things like their checkpoints. Some games start to be able to save. The high score thing kind of disappears because like you don't need scores. It's just about progressing. Like there's a lot of really, really neat little nuances in there. And on top of it, like they're just really good games, and they vary between being simple little arcade games to I think there are 2 or 3 full-fledged JRPGs. Like it's
awesome.
nuts.
That's really cool. Do you have to play it in chronological order, or can you just
No, you can
flip
just
around?
jump around.
Oh, okay, that's awesome. Yeah. So is that the only one you played?
Um, that took up a lot of my time until the I think the like big WoW thing started kicking into high gear because we started raiding.
Oh, yeah.
So that happened. And then Silent Hill 2 came out,
I heard.
and that's been eating up almost all of my spare time.
That's good.
Uh,
I like the Silent Hill games from afar, but I've never actually
mhm.
beaten one.
I haven't either, funnily enough.
Oh,
I've always been a big fan, but I've also always been too much of a fucking coward to play any of them. So,
it's not
uh,
that I was a cat. I don't think I owned any of them when I was a kid.
oh, I was a coward.
Oh, okay.
No, I have always, as a younger person, I was always terrified of survival horror, just as a genre entirely. Because like I'm I'm still scared of the dark. Like it's a genuine phobia for me, and like I've always had a really overactive imagination when it comes to like supernatural stuff.
Do
Like it
you
fucks with my head.
do you sleep with the light on?
I did when I lived at home.
I
Once,
Oh, sorry, go on.
once I moved in with my wife, it didn't really become an option anymore. But I'm okay
Yeah.
as long as I'm around somebody else, so it works out.
Oh, okay. That's like so. I I have it has to be pitch black. Like I will turn off all the lights, TVs, anything like that. No noise, has to be silent. Um and my girlfriend is the exact opposite, where she wants the she wants all the lights on. And then like she'll usually have a TV or like YouTube playing to be able to get to sleep. And so it's really awkward because what she'll do is, if we're in the same bed, she'll open up my closet door and then turn on the light for the closet. I'm like, no, that's light. Stop it. But yeah, it's a thing. I am not afraid of the dark. I prefer it to just be completely dark. For games I've played, I haven't really played much. I haven't been able to download any games. I did play some Punch Out, so I got a new controller. I think it's an 8-bit do 8-bit do Xbox.
Oh yeah.
Um, I've heard it pronounced 8-bit do a lot, but
I think it's because it's spelled that way, but I'm pretty sure it was made as like
8-bit
kind of a
do,
play
right?
off
Yeah,
of Nintendo. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so I got one of their Hall Effect controllers, and I wanted to test the D-pad out. And the way I test the D-pad out is Punch Out, because I am moderately okay at Punch Out, and I know that if I'm struggling on certain characters, then something's wrong with the D-pad. So like with the Steam Deck, that's what I did. I loaded up Punch Out, played with the Steam Deck, and was like, the D-pad is garbage. I love the Steam Deck. The D-pad on the Steam Deck is not very good.
It's a little mushy.
Yeah. And so yeah, D-pad's good on this. It's not quite as good as, like an NES controller, but it's serviceable. It's good. And then the Hall Effect joysticks are really cool. So I played Punch Out.
Actually,
What? Go on.
I got a thing from them a couple days ago too.
Oh yeah? What'd you get?
It is a Bluetooth PlayStation 1 and 2 controller adapter.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
So you
And
can so you plug the thing into the PlayStation
Mhm.
controller port, and then you can connect any Bluetooth controller to that.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
it just works.
Because you're able to then use like the new Xbox controllers or PS4 controllers. or
Yep.
any of their 8-bit DOS controllers as well.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool. I haven't dabbled into any of that. At some point I probably will. I would like to do that with like GameCube. Get some like wireless GameCube going on, because they're like, the Wavebird is a great controller, but I don't want to spend the money for it.
Yeah, I did see that they had those for GameCube, and they're specially designed so that they don't get in the way of anything.
Yeah.
Like, they're a pretty cool brand.
There's also, if you're gonna be picking up like PlayStation 2 and playing those, they have a memory card, right? Not the 8-bit DOS, but there's a new memory card that allows you to have like as many memory cards as you want, that you can fit on an SD card.
Is there one for PS2 now? I knew there was a PS1 one.
There's a PS1 one, and I believe that they are, if they haven't released it already, they are working on a PS2 one. I know there's a GameCube one as well.
I mean, I think the way that I launch games off of a hard drive, that I can use virtual memory cards with that, but I'll admit that sometimes the virtual memory card thing can be finicky. So it would be cool if I could just have a actual memory card that
it's like
could do shit
MemCard
like
Pro or something like that. Yeah.
I will look into this.
I also before the break, I had downloaded Endless Space, but I hadn't played it at all. So I was like, okay, well, I have time. Not like I'm doing anything else. So I played some Endless Space. It took me, like, I played for like an hour and a half with tutorials enabled. The tutorials did absolutely nothing to help me.
No.
And pretty useless. I figured out how to play, and then I restarted a game and started playing. I didn't finish a game, but I did get further and was playing and making new ships. And I played... They start with an H. I can't remember the name, but they like...
Horatio?
Yeah, I played Horatio.
Yep, that was what I played too.
And they're neat. But then I ran into another Horatio, and I'm like, what the hell?
Oh, that's weird.
I just put
you
it
had
on
to
like...
decide who was the real Horatio.
Yeah. So in my game, there's a Horatio, and then there's Horatio AI, and I'm like, I need to take those guys out. That's what I need to do. But my military isn't very good, honestly. I need to build that up. Anyway, those are really the only games I played, and I'm going to talk for a little bit about why we haven't been here. My internet died. That's 4 weeks ago on Friday, so it would have been September 20th? 13th? September 20th. Yeah. I was online, just, watching YouTube, doing work, and internet dropped. And I was like, oh, that's, well, whatever. It's having issues. And then it came back online like a couple minutes later. I was like, okay, cool. And then it dropped again. And then it came back online. And then it dropped, and it stayed gone. And I was like, that's not good. So I checked online, obviously, to see anybody else in the area having these issues. Didn't see that. And I was like, okay, well, contact support. They sent somebody out. Somebody came out the next week. They said, oh, the line's bad underneath. So the line not underneath my house or any of those like coax cables, but the cable going from my junction box across the street to the other junction box was bad. And I was like, fine. Fix it. And they're like, okay, we have to get a contractor out here because we can't. It's direct buried underneath the ground. They can't, our contractors don't have the equipment to scan the ground and look for pipes and stuff. So we have to get a contractor out here who can do that and then mark where we can get that dug up and replace the part that's broken, hopefully. But he's like, there should be somebody coming out, in about a week and to do that scan. And they didn't do that until last week. So 3.5 weeks later. Because, and that was while I was gone on work. One of the times during this time that I was gone on work. And nobody contacted me. Nobody has contacted me since then. The only reason I know is there are little like flags in the ground, and they like spray painted a couple areas. And I was like, yeah, thanks for contacting me when you came out and did that and telling me what's going on. But in the interim, I was trying to get internet. Give me one moment here. I got to clear my throat. So, yeah, it wasn't that long. So I was like, okay, well, I can get some, shitty internet or whatnot. Like T-Mobile has a 5G internet. Verizon has a 5G internet. Like I can get that, hook it up, have internet until my internet's fixed, right? Just something temporary. And Verizon apparently has met their quota, and T-Mobile has met their quota. So I tried both of those solutions. Neither one worked. Tried US Cellular. US Cellular would work, but US Cellular requires a 3-year commitment. They don't have contracts.
What?
Yeah, it's not a contract, but basically you're buying the 5G modem for like $400.
So it's like you pay for it in advance or you can finance it.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, and I could have bought one on eBay and bought one or whatnot. And I waited a week. I was like, I don't want to do that. And so I waited, and then I was like, okay, I need internet. I need something. So I went online and went to US Cellular and was like, screw it. I'll pay for it and then sell it on eBay for a couple $100 or whatever once after I pay for it, right? For that modem. And yeah, so I ordered it on Saturday, and I'm expecting them to ship it out Monday or Tuesday. I get an email on Tuesday. Hey, we couldn't complete your order.
What?
Yeah, no explanation, just saying we couldn't complete your order. If you want to continue on with this, like go into one of our stores, I guess. I don't know. Have fun. My thought is they probably ran out of the modems. Because but it's like, how? Well, less than a week later, there was a news story saying that US Cellular has went to the FCC and said, if you don't approve our merger with T-Mobile, we're dead.
No.
Yeah. So US Cellular is trying to be bought by T-Mobile. And then they basically US Cellular screwed if they don't get purchased.
Oh no.
Which, yeah, so that's probably why that didn't work. Obviously, I tried a couple different other services. There's another service around here that's a wireless ISP called Blue Mountain. They used to be called Shoreline, then they got bought. But Blue Mountain, they don't work at my place. They say there's a tree in the way of the radio tower, so I can't do that. And then so I was like, okay. And then the only other option that I would have is like satellite. Not doing that. No freaking way I'm doing like HughesNet or like Dish internet.
Starlink.
Well, that's another option, right? Starlink would be okay, but it's like it's expensive, and you only get like 100 by 20.
Yep.
It's a little faster now. You can get up to like 200 megs by 20, like top speed. But
and like you have a cap, don't you?
No, there's no cap. From what I understand,
I thought they had caps.
No. I don't think there's a cap, but like you're basically capped because you have such slow download speed anyway.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I don't want to give Elon Musk money.
Yeah.
I
thought that was going to be your immediate response, actually.
Yeah. But that was like the only I was like pretty close to considering it. But there's one other wireless ISP in town. And I was like, I probably can't get it. There's probably a tree in the way. Like, I am in a pretty...
Just cut down the trees.
Well, I wish. But I'm in a... the tree that's in the way...
Set them on fire.
I wish. The tree that's in the way is not a tree in front of my house. It is a tree that's in town that is in the not parking lot, but in the field for a bakery that's in town. And so they're like, yeah, that bakery, their tree is blocking the view to the antenna for the other one.
Set the bakery on fire.
I wish. Actually, the bakery is pretty good. I might get some strawberry rhubarb pie from them at some point. Anyway, my girlfriend gets me that for like my birthday and stuff. So strawberry rhubarb pie is delicious. Anyway, so I contacted the other ISP, and they're not great speeds either, and they're expensive. They're $130 a month for 200 by 200.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, it's better upload speed than what I had before, if it works, right? So my upload or my download speed with my other company was 1,000, so it was a gig by 20, because that's how cable ISPs work for some reason. And so it would tenfold increase the upload speed, but it would reduce my download speed. But it's something if it works. And so I called them. They're like, hey, we'll come out. We'll check. And they confirmed that it works. The internet works at my house. That they can see the tower. They can make it happen. And I was like,
Oh
sweet.
my God.
I was like, fuck yeah, sweet. And they're like, so this was on a Wednesday. And they're like, we'll try to get to you on Friday, latest on Tuesday. And I was like, awesome, cool. And yeah, so it ended up being a week later. It was the following Friday, not 2 days from Wednesday, but 2 days and a week. So 9 days later, I got internet. And I did a speed test. So the guy is, plugging everything in and making sure that the dish is aligned on my roof. And so I see that my Ethernet thing lights up on my computer. And I was like, oh, cool. I'll run a speed test and see if it's actually working. And it's running at 500 by 500. And I was like, what? So I'm only paying for two. Well, and if they had a 500 by 500 plan, I would get that, right? Like if they were like, it's going to be $200, and I'd be like, fucking do it, I guess. I don't know. And no, the guy comes in and he's like, huh, you must not be assigned a plan yet. Because he's like, you must not be assigned a plan. I was like, that's weird, because I got the email and I set up everything like on my phone. Like I got the email, I paid the installation fee, which it's the installation fee for it was $150, which sounds not great, but the installation fee for Starlink is $300. So,
Oh yeah, and
what you gonna do?
I'm assuming they have to. Did they have to set up like a receiver or anything? Or?
Yeah, there's a dish on my. They had a receiver on my house now. Yeah,
there's a dish.
It's a wireless ISP. It's not really a dish, but yeah.
Well, I was like, because I thought maybe it was like point to point or something.
It is. But I'll take a picture and show it to you. But yeah, so he's like, you must not be assigned to a plan. I was like, that's weird. I set everything up. Like, I went into the system, made sure all the pay and everything is there, and paid for my first month or whatever. And he's like, oh, let me check. And he went into his system and he's like, yep, you're assigned a plan. I won't tell anyone. And we'll see how long it takes them to figure it out. I was like, all right. So for now, I have 500 by 500 internet that fluctuates between like 400 and 500, which is perfectly fine, right? Like it's not.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, honestly, I could probably survive with 100 meg internet, but I wouldn't like it. But yeah, so finally, I am back online, and I still have not heard anything from my original ISP, though they did charge me for last month.
So I'm assuming you canceled with them by now?
No, I have not canceled with them. And the reason being is I'm going to wait for them to fix the line. And because I don't want somebody else moving. Like if I ever move out of my house.
Oh, yeah.
I want the person who moves in to be able to get TDS internet if they want it.
Well, and also if you were to cancel, then yeah, they would stop, and it's like, well, I want you to have to spend the money.
Yeah, exactly. I want you to spend the few $1,000s to fix that and do it right, and then I'm gonna be like, I need a refund for the month or two that I didn't have service, and then I'm gonna cancel. Um, just because I am that petty. But yes, now we're back, and I'm gonna be streaming Monday through Friday again, hopefully. So that'll be fun. Anyway, we're gonna move on to some news stories because we've been talking for fucking half an hour. Um, not a lot of stuff. I mean, there have been a lot of stuff that happened, but not a lot of stuff for us to talk about. You had one thing you wanted to talk about that you posted, which they added a dedicated camera button. That was the only thing that happened in the iPhone 16 event, apparently.
That was like genuinely out of all the shit that they talked about, that was really the only thing that stood out to any real degree. Like, it kind of, I almost don't want to get the new 16 Pro because the only difference between the Pro and the normal now is the camera. And it's like, okay, I guess it has a 5 times optical zoom now.
Whoa,
Woo.
nice.
Instead of a 3 times. Like, I do enjoy the 3 times optical zoom, don't get me wrong, but I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe I'm just becoming even more disillusioned with consumerism electronics
Yeah,
bullshit.
I have a Pixel 7 Pro, and it has a 5-time optical zoom, which is pretty great. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm like I've been kind of thinking about how like maybe life was a little better whenever we had dedicated devices for things that could just do their job really, really well
yeah.
instead of having a multi-tool that kind of does the job pretty well.
So
I don't
you
know.
want an Omni tool. You want something that just does something very well.
Wh- Well, I'm thinking like maybe if I care about taking pictures, that I just get like, I don't know, like an old DSLR or something, or even like a cheaper point and shoot or something like that, instead of like anything really with like optical zoom, because even a cheap camera, like $150 camera, will have like 30 times optical zoom most of
Yeah.
the time.
I haven't used it in a long time. The EOS Epson EOS like M50 or whatever it's called. It was like the camera that everybody was using like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
DSLR, and if you're interested, I might be willing to let you take that off my hands because I haven't used it.
potential,
It's just
potentially.
I've thought about it like, hey, like, and I would sell it to you for like way under market price.
Well,
Um,
of course.
but like I thought like, oh man, I could take this because I love traveling, and I could take this with me, and I'll go to places and I'll take pictures, and then it's just so cumbersome.
Yeah.
It is like the opposite of what you're thinking of is I like just having my phone and being able to snap pictures with my phone.
And like that's kind of why I'm on the fence about it, because I think about it a lot, but I'm like, but you can't fit that kind of camera in your pocket, you know?
Exactly.
But it's like the more I think about it, like I used to be, and I would kind of like to go back to being an EDC guy, you know. Like I used to carry a bag around
Oh
that
yeah.
I could fit whatever shit in there. And like, why don't I just go back to doing that, and I can carry around like a small camera, like
Well,
whatever.
and that's another big thing is like, all right, if I'm gonna go, to Australia or Japan or whatnot, I have to get through airport security, and just having more stuff. I try to like have as little things on me to get through security as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And so like, but that, just put everything in a check bag and you're good to go. I don't know. So both, I see both sides of it. Um, but yeah, so like there was no, I'm looking at the like breakdown of what happened here at the iPhone event, and I see Yeah, pretty much absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, even for somebody, even for me, who like, yeah, I'm not an Apple fanboy, but like, I I just enjoy new tech and I'm open to Apple products. And it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
is that it? Like
I
it's kind of cool. The new Apple Watch lets you screen for sleep apnea.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's good.
That's neat. Like,
I wonder
but
what the
that's the
accuracy is.
it's supposedly really all it does is act as a pulse oximeter overnight, and then like checks if you're like moving around a lot,
Oh yeah.
and then it'll be like, hey, you show some signs, maybe you have sleep apnea, your oxygen level went down to like 90%. That's kind of weird. And then you would be able to use that to tell your doctor, hey, like, I'm not breathing at night according to my Apple Watch, maybe I should get screened for this, sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
So,
That's just when your
but
wife puts the pillow over your face. She's like, I
uh,
can do it at any time.
I just need to remind him. Uh,
Yeah, I
I
mean, and
going back to what we were just saying, I did want to mention, I was trying to find, I have an old floppy disk camera.
I
I
know.
think I've mentioned before.
Yeah.
I just looked. It had well, I looked online. I think this is the one that I have. It has a 10 times optical zoom, and this motherfucker came out in like the late 80s. So,
Was it the
like,
80s or 90s?
um, I I don't know about mine in particular.
Oh, okay.
But whenever I was googling it, it was like Sony Mavic 1987 or something like that.
Can
So
hold a
I don't know.
whopping like 13 photos on it.
It depends on the quality. It can hold up to like 40
Oh wow.
using JPEG compression to hold up to 60 kilobyte hold 60 kilobyte photographs on a 1.4 megapixel floppy or megapixel floppy disk. That's what
Megapixel.
they wrote here.
Megabyte.
Megabyte floppy disk.
Yeah, that's yeah, 1.44. I saw a video. I think LGR did a video on one of those before, and
He did. That
the
was why I got it.
the video. Yeah, I thought it was awesome, but I wasn't gonna buy one. And then you're like, I got one, and it's like, yeah, that makes sense. And they've had all sorts of like weird technology to store photos, and like, I did they ever make zip like cameras?
I don't know if Sony did, but I'm sure somebody did.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've seen. And then I've also seen like videos where people take like old black and white cameras and then use like shading filters. Basically you get, the RGB filters and put it on top and take the same photo 3 times and then take those photos into like Photoshop and you're able to colorize them. And that's really cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
There was a seemingly prototype iOmega branded zip disk camera
Nice.
that had 8 times digital zoom, 4 times optical zoom, and could store 200 images on a 100 megabyte zip disk.
That is awesome. Anyway, we're gonna move on to our next story. The PS5 Pro is finally announced. Finally. I feel like Internet Explorer at this point. It's like, hey guys, remember when this happened over a month ago that we weren't able to talk about because Reeton's internet died?
Yeah.
So you can see how dated we are. Yeah, so the PS5 Pro was announced.
No one bought it.
Was it released?
Yeah.
Was it released in the time I've been on? Like I've been
I
keeping
thought
up.
so.
I've been keeping up a little bit with tech news, but I just haven't been able to because here's a story. And I found out the other thing I have to do after this got canceled. So I got all the time in the world. I've been using my company hotspot for work.
Yeah.
Awful. My boss was like, yeah, just use the company hotspot. You'll be fine. And I was like, okay. But I don't want to do anything on my laptop or my company phone that's not work related.
Sure.
And then there's a reason for that. Is, first off, I just don't want to get fired. I don't want to look up something bad or like them to be like, why are you looking up this here for work, right? Why are you looking up gaming stuff? Or watching YouTube on your company hotspot. So I just have been keeping that separate. But there's a story. One of my current coworkers, apparently there was a guy that worked there years ago, before I was there, who used his company hotspot to download whatever. He just used it as his internet. And he used up over 1 terabyte of data on his hotspot. Which I don't know how you do that. That was a lot of stuff. Well, I do know how you do that. And here's the thing is the company was like, you can keep your job, right? Like, obviously this is a problem, but you can keep your job if you pay for the data charges and tell us what you were downloading.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I will pay the data charges, but I will not tell you what I was downloading.
You can't know.
And
you don't want to know.
And everyone fucking knows what he was doing. He was pirating movies, he was watching adult content. That's what was happening. And probably downloading games.
Adult content.
Or probably downloading games and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
But like he was definitely pirating stuff and watching porn. And he's just like, I don't want to, I'm not going to tell you. So he ended up losing his job. And I did not want to be put into a situation where I even had 100 gigs of data used. Where my boss was like, dude, like our bill was like $100 higher because of you. Or $200 higher because of you. And so I just didn't want to be put in that situation at all. So I haven't been like keeping up on anything. So I don't know if the PS5 Pro has released.
I think it did, but even if it didn't, like the response was just a resounding why.
Yeah.
Like no one fucking cared. And if you look at the comparison shots, because like PS4 versus PS4 Pro, in the marketing, at least, you could very obviously tell there was a difference. It wasn't much. It was there, though. With the PS5 versus the 5 Pro, it's just like, you just don't see it. There's hardly any difference at all. From what I was reading, it doesn't even like, the performance mode doesn't even necessarily like unlock the frame rate or anything. Like, it's just, now games run at they run using like AI upscaling and shit now. Like that's it. That was the main thing. That it's not even really running the games at a higher resolution. It's just that they're upscaled using more effective technology.
And probably running at a higher, well, maybe not a higher frame rate, but a more consistent frame rate.
Yeah, like it's so minor that even compared to the PS4 Pro, which according to that dude on Twitter who I follow on Blue Sky now, is it Daniel Ahmad? Is that it? He's an analyst, and his profile picture is some guy from Dynasty Warriors. According to him, the PS4 Pro sold like 15% of the overall sales of that console generation, like for Sony.
Oh.
So like nobody bought the fucking PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
And by his estimation, they'll be lucky if it gets to like 5%, because it's just no one fucking cares.
Yeah, and PS5 for the PS5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and let's face it, like with Sony releasing a lot of their games on PC now, same with Xbox, like I've always been in the mindset like once I get the money, like once I'm in a comfortable enough position, I'm just going to buy every console that releases. And now I'm like I'm probably going to skip the PS6 and the new Xbox when it comes out. Like I just have a PC.
Yeah, and there's really nothing to gain.
Yeah. I mean, I still might. Nintendo's kind of, we'll talk about them later. Spoilers. But you know, like the Switch 2 might be the only, because they have exclusive games, and
Yeah.
they have the like Nintendo experience, for lack of a better term, that like they're the only one that might be worth buying over the Xbox and PlayStation. And let's face it, Microsoft and Sony know that. Like they're not making money off these consoles. They're making money off of the games and whatever software they can get you to purchase, like Game Pass and stuff. So they don't really care. They're just putting out the console so that they are there at this point. But yeah, so the one thing that everyone talked about also with this, other than, you know, it's not that much of an upgrade, is no disk drive.
Yeah, there is not even an option for a disk drive version of the console.
Yep, $700. No disk drive yet, as of yet. So
There, there might have been, maybe I'm getting confused. There might have been some kind of mention where they might sell like an external one,
yeah,
but like fucking like physical media is pretty much over at this
it is.
point, right?
Which is
Like,
sad. I love physical media. Buy me laser discs.
well, it's important.
It is. It is, especially for like, well, again, we'll talk about Nintendo later, but for preserving like video games and stuff. Just like how many times, like they just shut down the Xbox 360 store, right?
Yep.
And like that was, people were still on that, and they're just like, we're just gonna shut it down. So it really kind of sucks. And yeah, I don't like that physical media is dying. It's okay. I kind of like it and I kind of hate it. I think that there needs to be physical media as an option. With that being
wouldn't
said,
mind if it wasn't for DRM.
though, yeah,
know?
DRM sucks. But just like I live in a really small house, and so having more things to like put into places is kind of a pain in the butt. So having less things is pretty great. But with that being said, I like the option of having, like, again, give me laser discs, because I love laser discs. And I just like having things. I like having that item, especially like when my internet goes down for a month. To be able to pick up a game and just pop it into a system and play it. It's very convenient to be able to do that. We're gonna move on to our next story. Man, this one was especially for Connor. But unfortunately, he's not here today. He's
no longer with us.
He's no longer with us, as in he went to go eat dinner instead of doing the podcast. For that aforementioned thing, because we had something planned afterwards, and then that got canceled. So while we were doing this podcast, that got canceled. So he would then be able to have done this podcast, but whatever. We'll just talk about, there's a Sam Fisher goggles going on sale. It's called the Yashida Explorer. It can be used handheld or head mounted. And it looks pretty cool. You can see in total darkness with Sam Fisher. If you scroll down, you can see low light. Looks good. And then total darkness, it's the black and white, like you would see from that particular
because it's
setting.
IR.
Yeah. And it was not that expensive. Like, I thought it was going to be way more expensive, but let me look up the price here. $258.
That is not bad for a pair of 4K IR goggles.
Yeah, that's early bird pricing for a Kickstarter. It's $258 to $278. The expected retail price is almost $400, which is more
still
what I would
understandable.
expect. Yeah.
Yeah, it can record video.
Yeah.
And takes photos. It's got 3 optical zoom levels and has a removable battery pack, so you can swap the battery out, but they said it can last for up to 11 hours on one charge, which is pretty cool.
You know, if I cared about my brother-in-law, which I don't, uh, he likes going hunting and stuff, right? So this
Yeah.
would be great for like a hunter. And
Yeah.
it's got 11 hours of battery life. Got a removable battery, which is something that's amazing. But yeah, so it's really cool, and I thought it would be really great because it would be definitely something that Connor would be interested in. But then he wasn't here, so. Oh, and it's got OLED viewfinders,
Wow.
so
Fancy.
fancy and more expensive. It's also got image stabilization. I guess it's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. So if you want to go buy the Yoshida exploit, wait, it's been a while. I haven't been online. It might be dead.
What?
Well, no, it's got 4 days to go. I thought the project might be over by now.
Oh.
It reached its goal.
Oh yeah, and then some.
And then some. But I was like, wait a minute, the campaign might be over because of how long it's been since I added this story, and we haven't done the podcast. Okay, so you got 4 days to go if you want to buy these Aroa.
Oh, they're a Japanese brand. That's not some no-name Chinesian brand either.
Oh, nice. Oh man,
I'm definitely going to put this on my list of things to get whenever I have excess money.
I have excess
would be
money
cool
right
as fuck.
now.
You always have excess money.
And my sister's birthday's coming up.
So you're
Coincidentally,
gonna buy her a pair of night vision goggles?
no, I'm probably gonna buy her like, I don't know, the package of candy or something.
A Grubhub gift card?
Like everyone's birthday is in November. My birthday's in November. My girlfriend's birthday is November. Her kid's birthday is in November. My friend Sarah's birthday is in November. Like everyone I know, their birthday is in November for some reason.
My birthday's not in November.
Everyone I care about, their birthday is in November. Our next story is Unity. This is an update for a story we did months ago. They're canceling their controversial games fee altogether because they had changed it, right? There was the games fee, the runtime fee.
Yeah.
And then they changed it to be a particular, once you reach a particular milestone, then you have to pay that fee. Is that what it was?
I think that's what they were considering, but they were like, we aren't really sure, but we've heard your feedback and we're going to be reviewing, and then they fired their entire executive team.
Good. That's what should happen. That's what should happen in these situations.
Yeah. Like actually, it was kind of nuts that they didn't really talk about it. I didn't see it anywhere. I think it was a fucking Pirate Software short that I learned about that.
That's great.
I looked it up, and yeah, come to find out, yeah, Unity just kind of after that whole debacle, their board was just like, "Nah, fire the entire C-suite, fuck them," and then they did.
So they're changing some things. I believe they are increasing their subscription cost for their Unity Pro or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And Unity personal will remain free, and the current revenue and funding ceiling will be doubled to 200,000 USD, meaning more developers can use Unity at no cost. But then if you want to, it said after announcing the introduction of the runtime fee, Unity considered adding a cap to the fees, and then announced significant changes along with an apology. A month later, CEO John Riccatello left the company following the pricing controversy. And then as of 2024, at the start of 2024, 1,800 Unity employees were let go as well. But yeah, they're trying to make good on their runtime fee thing, which they did not think about well enough, I think. That's my thought. Like they were just like, this will be fine. Nobody's going to care. Whatever. We're just going to release this and do it. And oh shit. Because that's
everyone switched to Godot.
And that's what happens when you don't have normal people that you consult with. Like, not even
Yeah.
like as part of the executive suite, just like go to your normal developers and have like an actual chat with them and see what they think about this.
Yeah. Talk
Because
to your customers before you just go and fucking
yeah,
make a
like
massive policy change that's going to affect their livelihoods.
yeah, like low-level employees are the best resource in that, because if you're working at a place like Unity, you're a gamer, possibly a game developer, like you're in that circle. So those are the best people to go to and be like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And like just get like 20 or 30 people at random in one of your facilities or on a Zoom call or whatnot and be like, "Hey, give us your opinions. This is what we're thinking." And we're like, this is like a no shame zone. Like, we're not going to fire you if you give us like an opinion we don't like, right? And let them
Yeah.
actually speak their minds, and see if you're coming up with a really dumb idea.
But
Because you,
that the answer as to why they don't do anything like that is because they don't care.
yeah, exactly. What I did, like after I left, or after I left Sony, when I was there, I knew everyone because I'm IT, so I kind of have to, right? So I would like walk around, I'd talk to pretty much everyone, but I would mention somebody's name, like I'd be like, oh yeah, my blah 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 and environment or whatever, and the person's like, I don't know them. They had both worked there for like 3 or 4 years, but they had never spoken to each other. They
Yeah.
just they're in their own little bubbles. So after I left, apparently they wanted to change that. And so they would give, $50 to a couple people and be like, "Hey, guy, you two are from different like areas. Go have lunch together, get to know each other." And they
Oh,
would like,
that's kind of cool.
yeah, like just be like, "Hey, here you guys go hang out, figure out," so that way there's like more team building. And I thought that was a really cool idea. And that happened after I left. Anyway, uh let's talk about Nintendo as our last story for the day. Yuzu emulator was killed off earlier in the year, and now Ryujinx has also been killed off by Nintendo. They didn't have to pay
Well,
anything.
so it's a little sussy.
It is a
Uh,
bit sussy. And this happened. When did this happen? October 1st. So, well, this article was published on October 1st, but yeah, they have pulled Ryujinx, and the idea was that like Yuzu had used code that was in the Switch, right? Or not that they were using code, but they were like releasing updates being like,
they
"Hey, we got the new Zelda running before it was
yeah,
released," and that stuff, and that's what
they
got them
they
shot in
did
the
they
foot.
did a lot of really dumb shit.
Mm-hmm. And they were making money
So
off of their Patreon and blah blah blah.
yeah, and like specifically paywalling the ability to run the new Zelda before it came out behind
Yeah,
their Patreon subscription. Like, maybe don't do that.
don't. That was a bad idea. Um, but Ryujinx was seen as the safe alternative because emulation is legal.
Mm-hmm.
And so as long as you don't like have any of the code and you're not doing shady shit like Yuzu was doing, you're good to go. But Nintendo went to the Ryujinx creators and were like, "Hey, stop this. And or we will sue you into oblivion." So we got an announcement from, this was on Twitter here, from Wario64. And it was R.I.P. and Perry Perry, I guess. I don't know who that is. But somebody in the Discord basically said yesterday JDK Chan was contacted by Nintendo and offered an agreement to stop working on the Ryujinx project, remove the organization and all related assets he's in control of while awaiting confirmation on whether he would take the agreement. The organization has been removed, so I think it's safe to say what the outcome is. However, or rather than leave you with only panic and speculation, I decided to write this short message to give some closure. These words are my own, blah, blah, blah. But basically, it's dead. What were you saying? So what's up with the shadiness of Ryujinx getting canceled?
So around the time that I don't know for sure, but I think it's supposed to be Ryujinx because it's like a
Okay.
play off of NX, which was the code name.
Oh, okay.
But I'll still call it Ryujinx. Around the time that happened, there were some very curious copyright claims being made on YouTube against a variety of channels that were displaying various Nintendo products being emulated. And come to find out, these may not have actually come from Nintendo.
Oh.
So there were 3 email addresses where they were coming from.
Aroa
Two
at
of them,
Aroa.website.
well, 2 of them were from Nintendo.co.jp addresses,
Okay.
but you can spoof that.
Yeah.
So, not sure. However, the third one came from a protonmail.com email,
Yeah.
which is very obviously not Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
However, it was going by the same name as the name that was given in the other 2 cases.
I see.
So somebody had their lawyer reach out to Nintendo and say, "Hey, is this Proton Mail address one that you would be using to send out copyright strikes?" And Nintendo responded and said, "While we can't comment on what actions we're taking in terms of copyright disputes or anti-piracy measures, this is not an email address that we have associated with our business."
Interesting.
So there is a real possibility that some Nintendo fanboy has gone like full rogue autism and is like pretending to be Nintendo to take down things that they think might be hurting Nintendo because they're an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, that would
Uh,
and I
so
can see why if it was coming from an actual, Nintendo.jp account, that the people who are in charge of the project would be like, I'm just gonna cancel this so I don't lose my
exactly,
livelihood.
and that's the same thing that happened with the YouTubers. Is they're like, well, it's coming from anti-piracy 3 at nintendo.co.jp. Like, what am I supposed to do? If
Yeah.
I counterclaim this, then they're gonna sue me. Like, and if it's actually Nintendo, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
And then like on top of it, whenever you file a counterclaim, like you've got to give them your home address and shit, and like that's no good. So like there's a lot there. Uh so I'm hoping.
Scammers are pretty good. I had somebody call me the other day that was like, "Hey, this is blah blah blah, agent blah 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 from the FBI." And I was like, "No, you're not." FBI isn't going to call me. They're going to make a house call. That's what's going to happen. They'll show up.
I was curious and I emailed the 2 Nintendo addresses. I haven't got anything back, but this was Friday night. So let's assume that they are legit. Probably won't get anything back until tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm going to see what happens.
That would be fun. But yeah, so So, but as I was saying, the guy called me, the scammer called me, and he's like, "No, my name's Agent blah blah blah, and my badge number is blah 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 blah." And I was like, okay. I know you're a scammer, buddy. Come on. And he's like, "Is this?" And he said my name. He said Nathan Spruth, and I was like, "You're correct." And he's like, "Do you have a package coming from Mexico?" And I was like, "Nope," and hung up on him. He never called me back. Like, so I assume what he did was like, because have you ever got a call from a scammer and you're like, "Hello," and then it takes them like 30 seconds before they realize somebody's actually on the line?
I've never answered a scammer.
Yeah, I'm dumb. And so like I assume what happens is they have like, they're just like, "Oh, this number belongs to this person." So like, of course we know who your name is because everybody has caller ID now. So I was like, yeah, no, I don't have a package coming from Mexico. Goodbye. But like they're getting good. And I can see that a scammer would do something like that because like some Nintendo fanboy or somebody who's like obsessed with them would be like, let's take down this emulator because it's harming Nintendo, even though it's not really harming Nintendo. Though I did see an article today. Apparently, Denuvo, if Denuvo is cracked quickly, it can cause like a 20% decrease in profit.
Huh.
Yeah. Less than I
Probably
thought.
from people. So I do wonder, though, what are the examples that they're using for that? Because the only one that I can think of is Hogwarts Legacy. There was one other one that had Denuvo, but I can't think of what it was. It was more recent. But Hogwarts Legacy was the big one that I remember. It had Denuvo, and there was a group that cracked it. And I just wonder, like, how they're determining that it really led to a loss.
Yeah.
Like, is it just how many people downloaded it? And it's like, well, those people could have bought the game, but like, I downloaded it and I wasn't intending on ever buying the game. I just wanted to say, go fuck yourself to Warner Brothers and Rowling and the Hogwarts media empire.
I don't like Harry Potter, so I'm not really. I wasn't really wanting to play the game. I heard Hogwarts Legacy was a really good open world game, but I don't know.
If you liked Harry Potter, it supposedly is pretty cool.
The thing I always like don't like about a lot of open world games, and with Harry Potter, this open world game, is like, all right, I walked 12 feet. Now I have another combat encounter. Like that's not how it works in in a real world situation. Like you're not like constantly like fighting roaming bands of terrorists. Like, so Skyrim's like better about that too. Like you can go for a while without running into anyone, Fallout, stuff like that. But like a lot of these open world games, they just feel like you need to always be in combat or always have something going on. And I'm like, that's not.
Well, it's because
like,
the world is boring otherwise, because they didn't actually put anything in it.
That's true. Sometimes I just want to walk from A to B without fighting things, though.
Yeah.
Every once in a while. But yeah, so Ryujinx is dead. Yuzu is dead. Are there any other?
I don't know if Tsuyu went anywhere.
That was the Yuzu spinoff, right?
Yeah, it was. Some people took what was left of the source code for Yuzu and said, we're going to strip out the part that was illegal and start from there. But I don't know if it actually went anywhere. You know that I'm 100% pro piracy in 100% of situations.
Yeah.
That said, really just don't think it's a good idea to make an emulator for a current generation console.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
really hard.
I get
it's really hard to make emulators for current generation consoles.
Well, it usually is, unless they're like a super underpowered tablet.
Yeah.
That's basically just an Android device.
And let's also look at it that the Switch came out 8 years ago or something now.
Yeah.
So you can see that, yeah, I can see why it would be easier. And it was underpowered when it came out. Like it was on a 3 or 4 year old chip anyway, and now it's 8 years old after that. So your computer can run it very well. But
it's
like,
also just the very idea that you're making a product that and like, yes, I know it's a emulator. It's not a product necessarily, but you're making something that's going to objectively, it's going to affect sales of current games. Like it just is going to. You're just painting an unnecessarily giant target on your back from the get-go.
Exactly. And I liked the Yuzu emulator, and I liked Ryujin. So I think it's neat. I just think it's neat how people can take this code from and from scratch, not even look at the source code, and then get those games running on a PC. That's some really cool engineering and software development that they're working on. And then there's some really cool emulators coming out, like what is it, Shad PS4, which is a PS4 emulator, obviously. And
there's an Xbox One that that got revealed pretty recently, showing that it's like not even it's kind of like wine for the Xbox One. It's kind of nuts because it just takes like the Xbox flavor of Windows syscalls and just transmits them or translates them. There you go, into ones for normal desktop Windows, and like the performance is already pretty good.
That's all. Yeah, I saw that on a YouTube video as well, and I thought that was really cool. There's only a few games that they have running right now, I think, like 2 or 3.
It's like Forza 4 or something.
Yeah, but if they can do that and then just have it so pretty much any any Xbox One game can run, that would be pretty swell. I would like that. Anyway,
it'd be pretty cool if they could then rip the Xbox original emulator out of the Xbox One, run that through the Xbox One emulator. And then we have
what is it, Xenia? Is that or is that an Xbox
Xenia
360?
is a thing, but it is rough.
There's a Xenia front end you can download that's better.
No, I just mean like in terms of its emulation quality, it's rough. Okay. I tried playing Breakdown on it, and Breakdown is natively it's perfectly well supported in the Xbox One emulator. But running it through Xenia, it has a lot of issues with like shaders and like geometry not loading correctly. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, the Xenia emulator, Xbox emulation, the original Xbox emulator. I don't know why they've taken so long to get that shit running.
Like, I think probably because fewer people bothering with working on it.
Well, and that's probably it, because Xboxes are so easy to hack that it's just like, why, when we can just pop a new hard drive in there?
And there may be like a couple dozen games for it that are worth going back and playing that weren't on other consoles,
or aren't already supported by having an Xbox One or Xbox Series X
to some degree. Yeah,
and I think it's amazing. You can literally take an original Xbox 360, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series of consoles, hook them all on the same network, and play Halo 1 and Halo 2 together.
Yeah.
Like, you can do a system link game with all of which I think is amazing. But yeah, anyway.
Sometimes Microsoft lets their internal teams do cool things.
Sometimes. And then other times they fire them all. And let go of Hi-Fi Rush.
Other times they buy Activision, and then they're like, okay, bye.
Yeah. yeah, what's going on with like I think what is there a Black Ops game coming out this month?
I think so.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, we will be back next week probably, hopefully if I still have internet, and we'll talk about more gaming news that might be actually relevant to, the week that we're doing the podcast. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.